Thousands gathered at a cemetery in Jerusalem for the funeral of 23-year-old Israeli-American Hersh Goldberg-Polin. Hersh was one of 6 hostages who was found dead in Rafah in southern Gaza. It also brought to an end the 11-month plight of Hersh's parents, who had crisscrossed the globe to plea for their son's freedom.
Okay, sweet boy, go now on your journey. I hope it's as good as the trips you dreamed about, because finally, my sweet boy, finally, you're free. I will love you and I will miss you every single day for the rest of my life. But you're right here. I know you're right here. I just have to teach myself how to feel you in a different way. And Hersh, there's one last thing I need you to do for us. Now I need you to help us stay strong. And I need you to help us survive.
Hersh Goldberg-Polin, Eden Yerushalmi, Almog Sarusi, Alexander Labanov, and Ori Danino were kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival, which was stormed by Hamas militants on the 7th of October last year. Carmel Gat was abducted from her home in Kibbutz Biri. The IDF recovered all 6 bodies in a tunnel. They were shot at close range and were killed 48 to 72 hours before the bodies were recovered. Israel has erupted in rage since IDF confirmed the deaths of the hostages. Protesters in Israel say Prime Minister Netanyahu has not done enough to secure a hostage deal with Hamas. Hundreds of thousands of protesters have been hitting the streets in cities across Israel, raising slogans against Netanyahu, calling for a ceasefire and demanding the release of the remaining hostages. More than 100 of them, including 35 believed to be dead, are still being held in Gaza. US President Joe Biden, who himself is facing flak for his unwavering support to Israel despite the mounting death toll in Gaza, said Netanyahu is not doing enough to secure a hostage deal and ceasefire with Hamas.
You're planning to present a final hostage deal for both sides this week?
We're very close to that.
What makes you think that this deal will be successful in a way that the other deals were not?
Hope springs eternal.
Mr. President, do you think it's time for Prime Minister Netanyahu to do more on this issue? Do you think he's doing enough?
No.
Mr. President, what is your reaction to the demonstrations across Israel? What is your reaction to the demonstrations?
I'm going to get the detail when I walk in, and I'll talk to you after that, okay?
Thank you. Last best chance for a deal, Mr. President.
Do you have a message for the hostages' family, sir?
Yes, I've spoken to the American hostage. I spoke to his mom and dad, and we're not giving up. We're going to continue to push as hard as we can. Thank you.
But Netanyahu continues to battle the criticism. He asked for forgiveness from the families of the 6 hostages for failing to bring them back alive, but insisted that it should be Hamas that has to make the concessions.
What has changed in the last 5 years? What has changed? One thing. These murderers executed 6 of our hostages. They shot them in the back of the head. That's what's changed. And now after this, we're asked to show seriousness? We're asked to make concessions? What message does this send Hamas? It says, Kill more hostages, murder more hostages, you'll get more concessions. The pressure internationally must be directed at these killers, at Hamas, not at Israel. We say yes, they say no all the time, but they also murdered these people. And now we need maximum pressure on Hamas. I don't believe that either President Biden or anyone serious about achieving peace and achieving the release would seriously ask Israel to make these concessions. We've already made them. Hamas has to make the concessions. Thank you very much. Toda rabba lachem.
Netanyahu is insisting on controlling the Philadelphia corridor, a 14-kilometer strip of land along Gaza's border with Egypt. He says control is needed to prevent Hamas from resuming arms smuggling through tunnels underneath it. But the deployment of Israeli troops along the corridor has been a major point of contention between Israel and Hamas in the ceasefire talks, with Hamas saying Israeli troops must withdraw from the border zone. Netanyahu's defiant stance has thrown further doubt on the negotiations for a ceasefire for hostages deal. Hamas, meanwhile, escalated its own threats with a public warning that more hostages being held in Gaza would return inside coffins if Israel attempts to free them militarily.